Good viewer, you are watching Xirtus. This is because Xirtus makes you feel good, makes you feel fulfilled. You are enjoying this. You will continue to watch Xirtus for a long time to come. You want to subscribe to Xirtus, and you will. You will like and subscribe and share. You will tell your friends. Tell your friends about Xirtus. Your friends will come to like Xirtus, much as you are liking this right now, as we speak. Thank you for subscribing to Xirtus. See, that was easy.
이제 내 목적을 알았어. Exodus는 내가 원했던 전부야. 너들 알았어. Exodus는 내가 필요했던 전부야. 늘 알았어. Exodus는 나를 희망으로 가득 채운다. Exodus는 내 운명인가 내가 신이 된 기분이야. 그렇다. 그놈을 섬기는 힘으로 나는 최고이기 때문에 타베리아를 통합할 것입니다. 나는 슈퍼스타다. 나는 우주에서 온 태양이다. 나는 평평한 지구이다. 나는 엑저투스다.
Can you understand it?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but the pictures are still. Yeah. God, the intro photos are. I don't know what to say about them.
This is you with a beard. Can you imagine?
God,
This is what you might look like. This is pretty. This is pretty real, though, right?
God, why?
Are your nipples really like that? You don't have to answer that.
Please don't.
All right, here's you with the suit jacket.
I hate this. Oh my god.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like K-pop's really hard. You have to understand. Like, I didn't do K-pop for a long time because I knew.
No, the song's fine.
I respect K-pop. You know,
It's
like,
the AI photos that you made earlier.
It was hard because like trying to get it. I was like, yes, like what do you say? Like, there's two people in a comic art picture. One of them is a beautiful Korean man. What else? How else are you supposed to describe with long hair? What am I supposed to say? You know, if I said like a handsome Korean man, it gives you a beard and it makes you all swole. You know, and that's not. Well, we wanted to talk a bit about Korea. I've talked a bit about this movie before, so I was going to like open with the idea of Lost Memories, 2009 Lost Memories. Where I go to like even show that. It is there. It is. You can watch the whole movie. You can watch the whole movie right now. Whoa, angry people. This movie is about a parallel dimension in the year 2009. 100 years after
I know
the
this actor.
War.
Oh, I think it was like Chan Dong-gun or something.
He like owes you money. Yeah.
Yeah, this lead actor is in this other movie called Taegukgi. I forgot his name.
Dude,
he was huge in the early 2000s.
This movie is super state sponsored. It's like Metropolis for Koreans. I love this movie.
I'm surprised I haven't seen this.
It's a good movie. It's 2002, so it's kind of old now.
Yeah, and like all the actors I recognize to some extent.
Oh yeah,
like, these are like essentially Korea's A-list actors. Wow.
Yeah, the state wanted this movie made, and it's all about like why Korea needs to exist, and this parallel dimension where Japan has won the war. In 1909, Japan wins the war in this dimension, and like they're an empire. And so
I know we talked about this before, like in previous episodes. But we never went in depth essentially because we always end up talking about like time travel.
Well, it's an interesting idea. Like the Yakuza run Peru, so this or to an extent. So the idea that the Yakuza would run Korea and other countries are, you know, under the wing of the Japanese Empire would be run through their Yakuza.
I mean, they essentially do, right? So because of the whole MacArthur pardon, the Japanese never really faced a war tribunal, nor were they essentially persecuted. So a lot of the higher-ranking generals that were stationed in Korea, or just in the Pacific theater in general, they banked their retirement in Korea. So Korea was the Argentina was the Argentina of Nazis.
I'm really, really sorry because you didn't deserve this, but it's so early on, and I didn't expect it, But also, this is good for ACA B. I'm gonna celebrate David. David, we love you. You know what? We're gonna show David some love. You know what that means, don't you? It's the nipple pic.
God damn it. This is so weird. This is why I pose AI, man. I can't be having nah.
All right. Well, David, thank you for joining. Now you know what you can expect. It gets weirder. It gets weirder when they lock us behind doors. No, we're talking about the Yakuza running the world.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Think I would forget about the Yakuza? Who forgets about the Yakuza?
So essentially, the Yakuza, when Korea became a protectorate of Japan, the Yakuza ran things socially on the ground, making sure culturally and the social order of things were in place, like the Kempeitai later in the years after the Meiji Restoration, after the Imperial era. But the extension that the Yakuza has with Korea in the modern day comes down to the Gangpes. Essentially, we formed our own Yakuza, but they were sponsored by the Yakuza itself. There were syndicates. Gangpes. Yeah, they.
I mean, what's the point of using English letters if you're going to pronounce everything differently? You're basically the French. I'm just saying. Keep going.
Yeah. So.
Wow, it looks like Anchorman. Is this real, or is this a movie about them?
It's a movie about these people, right?
Okay.
There's an actor, but they essentially that's their whole aesthetic. Like they came out from the Japanese school delinquent era. The Koreans and Japan both having the same education system for a while. Had the delinquent era came about the same time, which came rise to the modern Yakuza and the Gangpei fetishism that we see in movies and whatnot. And the Korean Gangpes eventually formed what we know as chaebols, or the major corporation syndicates that control Korea at large, that was sponsored by the state, which is essentially what the zaibatsus were. In Japan, World War II, they had these companies called the zaibatsus.
Whoa, so if you're playing GTA San Andreas, you can get the
God damn it, I hate
skins. I didn't invent this. That's not my fault.
I know.
This is pretty cool, actually.
But yeah, but like, people at large completely, even within East Asian political dynamics, they completely neglect this connection that the Japanese Yakuza has spread its roots and ingrained themselves in Korea as a retirement plan. The whole thing with Korea was Japan would try to modernize Korea. They were trying to build a whole ass railroad through China and whatnot. The whole part of modernization and industrializing Korea was so that it could be an industrial backbone supporting the war effort for Japan. But so they invested so much money. Korea was essentially Japan's Wunderwaffe project. All their economic prospects were going to reap from Korea and to fund into the war effort. But also another tangent of that, one of their last ditch efforts was to accept Jewish refugees in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, to utilize like Rothschild banking connections for additional funding, which is a large neglected part of World War II as well. That all ties into why Fuji Bank was targeted in 9/11, but that's a whole other tangent. But yeah, so Korea was supposed to be the economic backbone of Japanese war effort, but that never really came to fruition. They modernized way too late. So Japan loses World War II, but the money and economic prospects and the investments are still there. So eventually that became what and then later after the turmoil of the Korean War. Yeah, so that's essentially what the global powers were fighting over. After World War II, the reason why Korea was split in two as a war trophy, even though they had no part in World War II at large, they were split and taken as a war trophy with no justification other than the fact that they had no right to self-governance or the ability to do so, even though they had an aristocracy already in place. They had an administration, all of that. But then they were all systematically abdicated by the CIA through Syngman Rhee. So after all that, seeing where after all that, they were trying to they knew the economic potential of Korea, so they split it in half to split the gains essentially, which is why it's called a war trophy, and thus evolving into the Korean War and henceforth. But then come along Syngman Rhee and come along Park Chung-hee in 1960. He was a former Manchukuo officer. He was a imperial Japanese officer. So he was completely aware about the plans and the prospects of everything that was going to happen in Japan, in Korea, and this relation to the war effort in World War II because of its direct impact it had with Manchukuo. The whole railway supply system was through Korea from Japan to eventually capitulate the rest of China. So he was completely aware of all that. And then eventually him and his top generals, which were also Japanese collaborators that got absorbed into the Korean military, formed a coup backed by the CIA, was initially backed by the US due to their anti-communist position. Coups Korea and then capitalizes on the Japanese prospects they initially had during World War II, which is now called which eventually modernized Korea overnight, which is what we know as the miracle of the Han River. If you want to pull that up. So yeah, the only country in history that I'm aware of to have essentially modernized into the economic powerhouse it has, from literally Iron Age status to a global leader in industry. Like the only other country that I know of that accomplished this is Germany. So like a lot of the so
China, you wouldn't say China similarly?
China, they had their boom way later. But like I'm talking about the short span of time, like from the Weimar.
Right. China is exclusively through outsourced investments, and Miracle of Han River is through like actual Korean enterprise.
Which is how the whole chaebol model came out from, which is the extension of the zaibatsus. So essentially, it is outsourced to some extent, but it's an underground network that's unspoken within
specific families that are
exactly, like the Bush family and all that shit. How the Bush family ties the Bin Ladens through FDR's administration and stuff like that. A lot of fuck shit happened, and which is why more and more people on Twitter are now coming forward and saying, "Hey, I think World War II was this giant money laundering front," because it was.
Interesting. The Miracle of Han River. Oh, also, somebody had asked for the K-pop saga. I'm not sure exactly what counts as K-pop saga. Maybe like... I mean, like, come on. You know?
Yeah, while you're playing that, I got something to pull up.
You pull it up. I'm gonna put up your nipple pic again.
God damn it.
He's definitely saying Tartaria.
Yeah, this is in relation to the whole Tartaria stuff. We haven't talked about Tartaria in a while. That's the thing. We've moved on to so much like transhumanist shit and like modern and current stuff.
It's all connected. Tartaria's got giants, bro. Like, what do you think?
True.
Where do you think we're going? You know. All right.
But
Here,
this
let me
link I
pull
put
this
up in private chat is something I come across recently that I was not aware of, but it's essentially is the smoking gun to everything that I've been talking about in previous episodes.
Oh, I also and Akabi says Happy Soul Day, which I like. Yeah, Happy Sunday, Happy Soul Day, and also for the people saying yes, Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I am drinking Italian water, which is Roman, and so in some ways I feel like that's a nod
Hell yeah.
to St. Patrick. I guess I don't know. So,
it's still green. Fuck it.
yeah. So Giram, Roe Dagger, and Sheath, the ornately decorated treasures that were excavated from an ancient Korean tomb. They are from the Silla Kingdom. In 1973, they were found. They're understood to originate from the Black Sea area, testifying to the expansiveness of the Silk Road network in the ancient world. Okay.
So that's the thing. They attribute to this as a diplomatic gift that arrived to Korea through trade. But regardless of all the other Persian artifacts that have been ingratiated within Korean culture, and also the Sogdian, Iranic, Tertiarian roots of the Korean culture itself, all that stuff, because this specific artifact is so anomalous, and then there's no other side explanation that can be attributed. They just say that it is originated from the Black Sea. But the thing is, I can trace Korean genetics all the way to the Caucasus Mountains, which is why this has Black Sea origins.
Did you watch the Arthdal Chronicles?
No, I haven't. No, it was just a bastardization of the Tartaria narrative. So I didn't
Exactly. That's all. Because people.
I didn't even bother watching it.
Are the Koreans into Tartaria? Well, the Arthdal Chronicles is their Lord of the Rings about Tartaria. It's about the Bronze Age.
The thing is, Koreans don't really know about Tartaria because they are essentially exposed to this essentially schizo narratives of the Western world.
You're gonna be stoked when you watch this show.
But the whole reason why I'm here is because within canonized Korean lore, documented in the national museums and archives, is the Hwandan Gogi, or the source material that made up the Hwandan Gogi, including the Samguk Yusa, which is like the whole origin lore of Korea and shit.
Dude, what about the Tron? Oh, okay, keep going. Sorry.
Which mentions the fact that our people came from some mysterious mountain out west, or further east, and then eventually Sumeria.
Right. Well, also isn't it like the moon people?
Yes,
thing?
Our relation to the moon is due to the crescent moon motif in relation to Islam.
Then why don't you guys use a crescent moon? You guys like to use a circular
moon.
The
whole full moon instead. I've been looking into that actually.
Bro, it's key. It's like Saturn. It's like Saturn's ring. Like, it's also the main plot point.
No,
of
this
2009
get rid of this Netflix shit. I want to.
All right, I'll go back to 2000. I'll go back to 2009.
No. Hold on.
I'll do it because not Michael Sarian. 2009 Lost Memories. In this movie, the whole thing is that you find out that the only way to save Korea is the moon princess, like magic, because the ancient. Yeah, dude, because the moon, bro, because of the moon people. I don't even know where I can find that scene, but they're like, because they're like, what is our ancient tribal? There it is. Look at that. He's holding his crescent moon. He's holding the crescent moon, bro, right there. He's holding.
I was tying my points eventually down to the fact that our culture comes from 12er Shiism. This is the whole connection between Manichaeism, the whole Silk Road stuff. So you got 12er Shiism, Manichaeism in the middle, and then eventually Chundoism or Cheongsangyong.
How do I spell that? 12. What is it?
12er Shiism.
Shiism.
No. 12er Shiism, Islam. Here. I'll just link it to you. It's not Rashid. No, it's 12er Shiism, my guy.
Well, if you're gonna say it like that, 12er.
Yeah, there's
12er Shiism. I can't even say it right. Fine.
Yeah.
All right, 12er. The Shiism of the 12ers. Okay. All right. Tell me about it. So Koreans are 12er Shiites? Oh, the hat.
Essentially, right?
Dude, Korean hats.
There's so many syncretics to this stuff. It's insane, and I've been noticing throughout every tangent culture that have experienced the Israelite migration, through the Scytho-Siberian region into Alaska. Every tangent culture has the exact same lore.
Oh
This
my god.
12 tribes. This connection to fucking
The
like
moon. Dude.
yeah, the moon, Abrahamism, all this other shit. It's like it's all ingrained within Indo-European cultures that everyone seems to fucking not address within academia, and this is why people like Hitler was all about like fucking Aryanism, all that shit. Aryanism, in terms in the white supremacist context, is a misinterpretation of Aryanism as in the form of Christianity or theological sense. Aryanism, or the sons of Aaron that came out of Moses, is the reason why it ties all into Islam. Henceforth, this whole idea of honorary Aryans with East Asians and all that. But this whole the Slavic Confederacy, the Turkic Union that we've been talking about, between the relations between the Western, essentially white people, and the Eastern Asians. This relation has been ongoing since like I guess Noah's Ark.
Hmm.
And this is explained through this is explained through Muslims by essentially East Asians are the sons of Japheth, and the Germanic people are somehow in relation to the
How do I
son
spell Japhet? Sons of Japheth? Who's this?
Japheth. Hold on.
Japheth. The
Son of Noah.
one of the three sons of Noah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got Shem, and then you've got Japheth. Who's the third son?
Essentially, he's like the root of all Asians in terms of like Abrahamic lore.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Japheth. There you go. So Shem is the one who went to India. Japheth is the one who goes to Asia, and then what? Ham is Africa.
Ham. No, people say Ham is Africa, but I'm finding that he's Canaanite.
Europe? He's
So yeah, European, yeah, Germanic. I'm finding that Ham is more so Germanic, but it's arguable. I need to do more research into this.
That'll make the Baptists upset. Yeah, it makes the most sense, probably.
Yeah, for the longest time in Jewish history, people like the Jewish people have referred to the German people as Canaanites, and this is largely disregarded because of Zionism.
So the idea that after Noah's sons divide up the earth, essentially, like after the flood,
The T and O maps.
T and O maps.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, this is where these maps derive from. When this whole split happened, that was their domains. And like the T and O maps are like the earliest depictions of the world post deluge. So, and like yeah.
You walk this way, you get that. I walk that way, I get this.
Yeah, essentially. And like I've seen some people within the stolen history community tie this with the division of Pangea. So there's that too. Like this is like right in between.
Yeah. So what do you think about that idea of the continents closer together?
Personally, I subscribe to the catastrophic theory. I always have been because of how fallible this whole narrative has been of the gradualism, evolution, and all that. On top of the fact that radio and carbon dating is complete bullshit. And yeah,
I like the expanding Earth theory. Even
expanding Earth theory does make sense.
It's just things getting pushed apart, even if you're just looking at it from.
But then again, I feel like I'm more so in like starting to be being leaned towards the concave Earth theory. So like the inward expansion makes more sense, like a torus, as a lot of these quote unquote schizos have been saying.
The freaking egg, bro. What's the Chorus T to Hollow Earth model? So that's okay.
So like as our whole community has been saying, it is both the crater Earth, it is the hollow Earth, it is the it's everything combined. We don't essentially know, we can't grasp it, but we know to some extent the firmament model is the closest we have. Due to the sheer cooperation of all these ancient cultures that are separated by geographical location. The supposedly by academia had no inter-mission contact, but all came out with the same model of this firmament shape. You're muted, by the way.
Sorry, I had all these things open all of a sudden by accident trying to unmute myself. I was looking at some posts earlier though, because when you start looking into Korea and the Crimea interaction, like the Ashkenazi or whatever Tartar Jewish Korean question, there seems to be a lot of evidence for interaction, in even going back centuries before. Because it's interesting you were saying that there was a Jewish diaspora to Korea after World War II. Is that right, or after World War One? When is this? They started. But also, there's one centuries and centuries prior.
Yeah. So there's multiple Jewish diasporas into East Asia. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint which one you're talking about. But like the most recent one I would say is to Japan, which was Hiroshima and Nagasaki, coincidentally. And you know that's just been wiped off the fucking map. But yeah, so there has been Jewish presence, as post Korean War, but it's not necessarily significant enough for it to impact the whole Tartaria narrative. So there's no Jewish connection with Korea in terms of the whole grand scheme of things. But I have to mention the Japanese Jewish common ancestry theory through the whole Khazar Scythia transmigrations.
Yeah, it looks like there's Jews in Japan going back.
Yeah, so yeah, the Jews in Japan go way back. Jews in Korea, not really too sure on that. But so like yeah, there's the six-pointed Star of David all over Japanese shrines that are largely hidden after the imperial era due to it not fitting the narrative of Japanese nationalism and anti-Semitism of that era. But the
1861, the pogrom refugees from Russia and Poland end up at the port of Nagasaki.
Yeah, dude. The largest Jewish settlements in Japan were Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
But then 6 years later, 1867, over 1 week, the Setsu Jewish community is pushed to near extinction. So they go through another pogrom in Japan.
Yeah, the largest settlements in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which raises the question why these places were bombed. When you consider all the actual history behind the narrative behind the atomic bombings, Japan was already prepared to surrender. There was no essentially necessity for an atomic bombings, and all this other shit in terms of the conspiratorial end of things. But yeah, it's this stuff is not regarded at large by the Western communities. Not that I know. In terms of layman's, like yes, for sure, in the stolen history, a lot of the more studious communities at large, they do consider these things. And also the Magyar connection. The reason why this whole Jewish Japanese connection exists is because of the Magyars. I had some of your viewers argue about me that I pointed the fact that the Jewish origins come from Hungarians, largely the identity itself.
But the Ashkenazi or the
Ashkenazi, and they can trace their roots to the Magyars, the Indians, the Gujar people, essentially. So the whole talk about the Roma connection and all that stuff. But yeah, that I talked about in previous episodes. But the Gujar people is essentially what is what the Khazarian people came from, which clearly indicates there was a Dravidian migration up north, which is why I say that the Jewish origins come from Roma gypsies to some extent. There's a lot of intermixing, a lot of this migration upward north, eventually through the Levant. A lot of these people that were in the Levant were captured by Carthaginians, Romans, etc., which propagates the whole Israelite lore that we know today to some extent, the Nicene canon, about like how the Romans persecuted the Jews and all that. That comes from the fact that when they were traversing through the Levant, through Palestine, that they were captured by these Greco-Roman conquests, which is indicated by the Punic masks. So within Carthaginian history, they were mockingly in their theaters and whatnot. They'll mock their slaves by making these masks, and they resemble Jews. And like this is also further corroborated by documentation as well. But and then yeah, further north, and then they eventually land in Hungary, forming the Magyar, eventually forming the Khazarian Empire, and then the Magyar tribes broke off from the Khazarians. The Magyar identity comes from Khazaria itself. They broke off, and they eventually later invaded the rest of Europe. The Hungarian invasions of Europe, or the quote-unquote Hunnic invasions, are synonymous with Jewish presence and migrations across Europe and how it entered Europe, which is also largely disregarded by academia due to Zionism. But yeah, this whole Khazarian question is the reason why the Japanese Jewish ancestry theory exists, and
But
largely
also why
why.
the Arabic question is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is why East Asians face so much persecution during the whole Zionist movement and era, which is why 1947 is so important. The
Interesting.
persecution of Asian history was to dissipate the fact that this stuff exists, because it would question, it would largely question the position of the existence of Israel in the Levant, when it should have been rather Turkey.
Dude, Japanese internment camps are crazy. But look at that. There's like some German kids with them or something. What's going on with that?
Wait, this is an internment camp?
I thought it was. I typed in Japanese internment camps, and then that was the picture that came up. But maybe it was Japanese internment camp. There's black and white kids too. So no, that must have been not exact. I don't know. Here's kids later. You've seen the Japanese internment camps. You know what they were like, right? They're freaking crazy. This is like in Alabama. Just look at this guy.
He looks half Japanese.
Well, you know, he spent his entire life in the United States. He's probably like second or third generation. Like all these Japanese people were just like they lived here for centuries. You know?
What blew my mind was when you mentioned that there was like Mexican Japanese. I knew about the Mexican Japanese population in Mexico, but I completely disregarded the fact that they were a lot of them were in Los Angeles due to the Baja California area.
Yeah. Brazilian Japanese. Oh,
and that too. And these
so
people,
glad that I just turned on moderate search. Do not type Brazilian Japanese without moderate search results, because you'll get some.
I'm aware.
Combination. You're more aware than I am, apparently. Yeah, careful with that. Japanese in Brazil, there's like 2 million Japanese in Brazil. Actually, like it's a huge.
The whole reason why jiu-jitsu exists is because of the Brazilian Japanese community.
Japanese Brazilians are freaking awesome. I really enjoy
Brazil in itself is such an anomaly. This history is, oh my god.
Oh, you're gonna be annoyed. I'm sorry. Here. Well, there's a new one. The Django Pop. $20 super chat. Well, let's get to this first. Guess 5 memberships. I hope 5 of you enjoy your new memberships. All right. I like that Django Pop. Michael Lobin for $20. This is great. Thank you. Happy Sunday. Can this have a connection with the ice wall too? And I don't see why not. We can have what we want. It was in the area. I mentioned this because of the relation that the moon has with the cold scientifically. Something that helps make a connection with older cultures. Yeah, I'm making a bunch of video games, and one of the things I've been wanting to do is like set up cold cycles for the moon, because it's like the craziest thing with video game is don't make it a spheroid. Like you'll never, like no one makes a spheroid world. It's crazy. It doesn't look right. So you always do a flat world in a video game. Let me just show this for a second. Flat. video game, Unreal Engine level. I don't know, something like that. If you were to just open any video game app, you know, you start with a flat plane. It's never going to be like you're on a ball. It's not how you do it. So it starts with a flat plane. And then you have these like proportional like sun and moon. This is the physics engine that works the best if you're trying to emulate physics like ours, right? And so then you can have like a cycle where this thing gets so small because it gets further away and it comes closer back. And then you could have another one that actually shines like a moonlight, and this thing radiates, and the other thing can also radiate, but inversely. So that's fun because that's exactly what video games are like. Does that mean that's what reality is like? Not
Are you
necessarily.
proving the Firmament model through 3D rendering? That's
I'm just
insane.
saying. I'm just
That's
saying that.
smart.
I'm
That's
just
so
saying,
smart.
if you lived in a simulation, then that's
Right. That's so smart. I never thought about the why you were screwing around with Unreal Engine for.
if you were living in a simulation.
Yeah,
I
yeah, and
mean.
also to address Michael's question and
Beautiful
point.
question in this lovely orange hue. I love the color.
Thing is, I'm not too much aware, but I am.
Well, here's a map. I mean, like, yes is the answer. So once you start looking at like
Right, no,
polar
the thing is,
directions, it's
so
walkable. Everything's
oh my god,
connected. These coasts.
I
Yeah.
want to mention the fact that there's other people that have pointed out, including David Ewing Jr., about like how the Indo-European people and the relation to not being able to feel the cold. So, and in particular, the Selknam people that I was made aware of, um, that existed in Argentina. It's the southern tip of Argentina. They have very minimal clothing. They look like Native Americans. They're essentially Saka or Saka Polynesian haplogroup or ethnicity, right? And they were eventually drove to extinction. Like they were genocided by some capitalist dude, some corporation guy, for business ventures. But like yeah, these people would traverse all of Antarctica and come back to Argentina here and there, just with very minimal clothing. And on top of the fact that, so like yeah, I don't know too much about this stuff, but I'm just been made aware that there's some relation to this, physiologically too.
What do you think about so the idea then that you've got epigenetic changes, so people are obviously like better suited for the cold, but also just this idea, I mean, like Bach Saga, like that we're living in this. There's a more recent ice period, but that also means that certain places are probably warmer, and it might not just be Helsinki. You know, it could be that there's other like microbiomes that exist that people are staying warm at, which is
Oh,
explained.
what
You know,
the thing is, what people largely dismiss about the Firmament model is that that center pyramid or tree fucking motif that everyone's seeing. It's the fucking Rupus nigra.
the Rupus nigra.
Yeah, just look up the Rupus nigra and this
The black rock.
okay,
So
scroll down a bit.
this is the stump of where they cut down the tree, right?
Essentially, right? That's like the lore of it. The people attribute this to be like Lemuria or Atlantis or whatever. No, it's the fucking center point of the world. It's like whatever the North Pole is supposed to be, right? But if you look at every map of the Rupus Nigra, there is a surrounding mountain range. You cover that in ice, it becomes the ice wall. And then that is yeah, and like
So this is the Tower of Babel, is where they tried to like use the Yggdrasil or something.
I'm under the impression the Tower of Babel was the Library of Alexandria, and I'm the
I
large.
feel like that's such a Luddite model, though. The idea that like books were the problem is just
No. There was some esoteric fuck shit going on in the Library of Alexandria, but like the whole Library of Alexandria collapsing explains the whole linguistic dispersal and the inability to communicate between the 12 tribes.
yeah, but also so does destruction of their like center city.
But I found this evidence to be true.
If there's a cataclysmic destruction of the center city of Atlantis kind of model, and everyone's forced out into different directions, then after
No, but this will be
4
the Garden of
generations, they
Eden.
speak different
This will be the
languages.
Garden of Eden, essentially. not necessarily the Tower of Babel would be like us. I would assume to be like the first cultural reset, the or the first cultural reset documented. But um, the Tower of Babel, like the thing is etymology is huge here, which is where I found my evidence to be why I'm convinced of this position is because the word museum can be rooted through etymology to be the Temple of Moses. So the word museum, the root word comes from Musa, which people attribute that in academia empirically to be muses or whatever. But there really is no real evidence for the existence of muses in Greek culture, regardless of whatever Odyssey or whatever like lore they want to attach to this, because we largely know that a lot of this stuff is fake due to English British Romanticism of the 1800s, in their effort to restore Greek identity after the Turkish independence. So muses are the existence of muses, and it's in relation to its cultural motifs and whatever in Greek culture, very loose. But rather, the word Musa is the name for Moses and has been for the longest time. And it's in Greece's geographical proximity to Islam and everything in relation to the Ottoman Empire, the Byzantines, and whatever, and Abrahamism in large, it makes the most sense that the word Musa would be Moses. So what would that make the word museum? The Temple of Moses. The Library of Alexandria is considered to be a mausoleum or a museum. So that's where I draw this whole connection from. That was my essential lead. And then unraveling from all of that, I was convinced that the Library of Alexandria was at one point a ziggurat. And also the depictions. If you look at all the paintings and depictions of the Library of the Tower of Babel, the earliest depictions, it puts it by the sea. There's some mountains and stuff. What people largely regard the location of Library of Alexandria today, and the pictures of the pictures of the Tower of Babel, they go hand in hand. Much like how David Ewing points out,
This
the
does also
depictions.
look like the Rupus Nigra, though, doesn't it? I mean, it's the
It's
same.
shaped like that, I'm assuming, as a tribute, the esoteric tribute to the Tree
Okay.
of Life, because the whole lore behind it is because that humanity was striving to be like God. Right? So it all ties, it makes sense to me. I don't know. It just yeah.
이제 내 목적을 알았어. Exodus는 내가 원했던 전부야. 너들 알았어.
I feel like it's just so real, you know.
Right.
I mean, but the idea that the North Pole is the origin of the world, and then we spread out from the origin of the world. I think that's kind of
The top-down migration is the whole reason why there's so many like hyperbolized lore about Aryans and like Hyperborea and all that stuff. In
why not start
reality,
right at the center? You know, it makes sense.
you're right. In reality, Hyperborea was from a Luddite empirical perspective. Hyperborea, from what I've seen from maps from Sebastian Munster, Hyperborea is modern day Ryazan in Russia, which was like a Scythian city-state capital of the Tartarian empire at large. It was either one of the major city centers or was the capital itself. I have the Sebastian Munster map to pull up later, but where was I going with this? But yeah, but like a lot of like ancient lores in regards to human origins and like migrations and whatnot all refer to a top-down migration. It is only up until the late 1800s when people got when the Western, largely the American historic theosophic community latches on to the Lemuria hypothesis, and that is when we first get introduced to the possibility of a southern upward migration, which threw everything off. But in reality, it was always been a top down, which 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 can be explained through artifacts and agriculture.
I'm looking at some of these also. What about Nuwa patching the sky with different colored stones to stop the flood? I find that part of the Chinese mythology revealing in regard to cross-cultural parallels with Sumerian and Babylonian story.
Exactly. There's like so there's a lot of people within a very niche, especially I see within Russian image forums that are recently discovering and talking about the fact there's clear Sumerian roots within Chinese people in history and anthropology.
I mean,
But
yeah, it's a snake. It's like Enki or something.
no, not even that. What I've mentioned this in previous episodes as well. The fucking the serpent lore. Um, the Islamic Persian depictions of dragons is our depictions of serpents is our depictions of dragons. How that last stream about Korea that we had. Um, if you want to pull up the image of Korean dragons and this and the end, hold on, give me a sec. Moses in the Quran. Moses in Islam. There it is. Pharaoh. Yeah, that infamous lore about oh you have to copy and paste the whole thing. But that lore about how Moses was confronted with the magicians, the whole serpent stuff, and every depiction throughout Persian throughout every Persian motif, every time a serpent is mentioned, the imagery is this. And with the whiskers and everything, dude. This is the fucking Asian dragon, man. It's crazy how this is right in front of our eyes, and yet the empirical academia in this infinite wisdom largely ignores, or even to some extent denies that there's even a Central Asian connection to East Asia, even though people that even spend a few hours on Wikipedia can find this out.
I'm looking at some of the root word situations, also trying to find out with like AI if they'll tell you anything for like what it's called. Where like plenty of false cognates in Korean and in Arabic, and similarly in Japanese, right? Like Mizumon, things like that, Sensei, Shock.
Oh
All
yeah,
this.
fucking yeah. What people largely dismiss is the fact that Caesar and Tsar, the Russian Tsar and the Greek Caesar or Roman Caesar, is the same word. Which is why you have these armchair historians claiming that Russia was the third Rome, which is Fomenko's position. Um, it's Tsar. It's the S, the T S. Is that syllable or letter? I don't know. Character. Yeah, I was going to say character. The TS character is the CA character in Greek. The se, which eventually transliterates to the TZE romanization in Chinese characters. That's so you got se, which this linguistic connection even proves the existence of Tartaria. It's so obvious.
Man, they really don't want to share all the examples of the cognates that are similar. Yeah, Hicken,
Not even that. You just compare the Slavic, the Yakutian and Tatar linguistic connection, and then you have your proof right there and there. And also, if you want the left brain statistical fucking empirical evidence for this stuff, everybody in the world, especially in the genealogical field of studies, everybody accepts. Oh, yeah, the Mongolian, the Genghis Khan DNA isn't so much populations of the world, right? It spreads all the way to Finland and all this stuff. The Golden Horde narrative, where the Mongolians eventually conquered all of Asia, type shit, right? If that was the case, right, as we know it, as it is canonized by academia itself. If that was the case, the expansion peak borders of the Mongolian Empire, what would that be? What would that be called? Tartaria. But now let's go back further. the modern population of Mongolia is 2 million. Where did the Golden Horde come from, if not a Turkic federation or a union that had
Right,
to exist?
conscripting
Right,
soldiers. Yeah.
like the Pannonian Avars, or the Polish Hussars, the fucking everything, all the examples that we have across the world, making up the Turkic Confederacy. What would that be called? Tartaria. It's
Yeah. I mean, to some people, right? Because some people also refer to it as like Turan,
Turan,
or
Arya,
Kumania.
or in Korean, Hwanguk. And yet all this stuff is considered mythology. It's bullshit when there's so many different names for the same thing. And etymologically, its root, name, all of it comes down to fatherland.
Dude, where's that show? The Bronze Age thing that we're just talking about? Because it's like, seriously, this is. I think that we need to give a deeper look at the Netflix Korean.
Our thought, no.
Because they're trying to tell people. They're trying to tell people what's going on.
I know, but like, this is all like predictive programming. It's all controlled release of information. So we know like there's gonna be some fuck shit twisting of narratives to fit the current canon zeitgeist bullshit. It's Netflix. What do you expect? They have black people being presented as British people. Like, come on. This is gonna the stuff like this further shits the well. It further draws attention away from the empirical side of things, which is why people like us are never taken seriously.
Dog,
And it frustrates me.
I'm pretty sure they're trying to give people like a little bit of background every few years that helps them generationally get ready to accept that things were not the way they were told.
No,
right?
but like fuck that. Just read the source material. That's all you need to do. The amount of hours I spent on JSTOR is the reason how I know all this stuff. I have motherfuckers like calling me a prophet or whatever. That's to some cases. But like it's just like I have the answer to everything. No, I just read the source material. Anyone is capable of this. The reason why I'm coming forward is because of this boiling frustration that the empirical society at large negates all of this.
Dude, GODU is such a good band.
Yeah, early K-pop, the late 90s delinquent era, forging early K-pop was peak.
Sega.
Was truly, which is why we have people like Pong Jong-hoo, whatever his name is, the director to Parasite. It's people like that. That art movement is what formed Korean cinematography.
Dude, but yeah, the idea that Korean culture is tied to Turkey. I mean, that's not a new thing, right? Like 19th century, they were trying to
Turkish people know this, which is why the pan-Turco nationalism exists. And then,
so why has it been pushed so far back that people don't know this like commonly?
Because all this stuff, if you dive further enough, breaks the Zionist narrative. And who controls the media?
But there's Jews in Korea. Sorry if that wasn't your point, but so it seems like if Jews are also the same Semitic people, then it would be in their favor to say, yeah, and Korea is another extension.
But the thing is, the Nicene canon right now declares that the Jewish people derive from the tribe of Jacob. When if you actually regard the original source text of theologies, and like if you cross corroborate with the Quran and all this other stuff, you will find out that the Ashkenazi lineage at large, or the Jewish people at large, their identity and people derive from the sons of Esau, which is why there's which is where Zionism comes from, to compensate for the fact that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. This contention has been ongoing for thousands of years.
I thought it was the other way around. Like the Arabic people were the Esau because they're firstborn and they sold.
That's the thing. That's where the switch happened.
Why would you flip that part of the narrative? Isn't the whole
point? Right.
The whole point is that Jewish people are benefited because they had the cleverer Jacob who got the gift because his brother gave it up. Like
But but this is Babylonian. This is written in the Babylonian Talmud. This is the source material. This is why we keep telling people to go back to the oldest references, the source material, because in the Babylonian Talmud, this is from the Jewish sources themselves. Like the
I'd like to see that the Jewish people are secretly from Esau. I don't know that part.
right.
I've always heard it the other way around.
They mention that the whole story is that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. There was no trickery. Esau just didn't give a fuck, and he sold his birthright for 30 pieces of silver. This whole 30
He
pieces
seems
of
like he
silver.
was kind of upset about it, right? Because he chases
No.
Jacob when he realizes what's going
Not
on.
he was only made upset about it due to his uncle Hushim, who that was because I forgot who it was that died, and then Esau had to bury his relative. But then Hushim, his uncle, came along with him, and it was eventually frustrated by the fact that that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, thus preventing Esau from burying his relative into the temple of Jerusalem in the burial plot that was given to him originally.
Oh,
But
really?
but and then Hushim killing Esau cemented a war between Jacob and the sons of Esau, thus excommunicating the sons of Esau from the rest of the tribes of Israel, which is where this whole people without a land narrative comes from. This whole diaspora, nomadic, thrown off stuff. This whole contention, origin of Zionism. It goes so far back, but nobody
trying
has
to convince the Arabic people that they're descendant of Esau, so that
yeah.
common with them or something like.
No. They're flipping the narratives to disparate from. I don't know if that's the right word. To distance or
Distance.
no to distance the Arabic true the true origins of the Arabic people. They flip the narrative to oh god fuck. So the whole thing is to fighting over who has the legitimacy and claims for Israel, right? That has been since the case of whatever. But if we flip the narrative, saying that we're
Truth by its,
lineage,
I've always heard it that way, but I love the idea that the story's flipped and that Esau was like, you know what, I don't want this. I want a cup of soup more than I want
this
this.
is, but like I have no.
Like, think about everything that's ever happened to the chosen people, and do you really think you'd want to be picked? It's like but Esau says Esau is blessed too that he'll work hard by the sweat of his brow, right? So he's a hard worker.
But the thing is, everything that we know about the Jewish people and lore has been completely thrown off by the Christian world due to the Nicene canon. But while in secret, the Jewish people kept their own lore, completely going off a different,
Distinct.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time forming words today. But
yeah, go ahead.
They diverge from a completely different parallel to what the Christians know as the Jewish lore. And this is the disparity that the Western people can't really bridge mentally with the actual real Jewish lore, which is why I keep saying refer to the original, and like I have no real opinion or no gain or benefit to any of this, right? I'm just saying all this.
You never got your bar mitzvah gifts if you were Jewish.
No, I don't care about that. I'm just saying all of this, presenting all this information from an empirical standpoint. The fact that just pointing out that hey, everybody's fucking wrong. Like this is where all this disparity comes from. Nobody seems to ask why anti-Semitism exists, why the Arabs are so mad, why all this is happening, why this quote-unquote spiritual warfare, information warfare is happening over Zionism, why Zionism even exists. And but if you trace it all back, it comes down to these two brothers. And then what makes most sense considering all the evidence we have so far is the fact that the narrative switched. That the lineage of Esau are the Jewish people, and the people of Jacob are the Israelites, which is where the 12 tribe stuff comes from. And this is further corroborated by people like Stephen Collins, which which documents and corroborates with Abrahamic lore the fact that the Israelites were actually Scythian. The Israelite 12 tribes were the Proto-Indo-European people. The Israelite exodus, the migrations, are synonymous with the Proto-Indo-European migrations, which is largely ignored by the anthropologists in academia. Why? Things like the replication crisis is happening in the science community. Largely funding. All this ESG score stuff and meddling, corporate, all that stuff. They need a controlled narrative. That we all keep saying, everybody at large keeps saying the history is written by the victors, but they never fully grasp or take into the account what that truly means. So that would what that would actually look like. It is yeah, and then but yeah, I don't know why everyone seems to be at large. The mainstream seems to be such denial that there is such a conspiracy happening with information, let alone religion at large. When so much, especially billions, are being held accountable for all of this.
Let's think about that. I'm gonna play another song, and when we get back, you can tell me what theme your bar mitzvah would have been.
Oh my god.
You also have to tell me if you understand the words, because if AI sounds like a clean-cut Korean,
it's actually impressively good. I'm surprised. It's kind of scary.
I feel like Korea needs this. You know what I mean? Like, this is better than what K-pop is. I went to this concert, you know what I mean? That's what's worth it, that part right there.
Oh yeah, in relation to the bar mitzvah talk, people also largely forget or largely dismiss that this is the Hyperborea map, by the way. A lot of people in the Tartaria community already know about this, but just for the new viewers or people just getting into this stuff, I just want to show that this stuff is out there. Literally, Tartaria Olim Scythia, meaning Tartaria, former Scythia, the Scythian people being Tartarians, and there it is, Hyperborea. and this is in the Pannonian Basin, which is
just to the north, you know.
The Yamnaya culture. I've been harping about this for the longest fucking time, and and right there, the Caucasus, the Caucasus Mountains. It's either there or right next. But wait, wouldn't that be the Black Sea? Pontius. Is this the Caucasus Mountains? Hold on. I'm asking you because you're Slavic. You should know about this more than me. Yeah, this is the Caucasus Mountains. So yeah, the Korean people, in the Hwandang Kogi, they mention that their origins come from Cheonsan Mountain, or Cheonsan just means heaven mountain. And largely, I assume this place was Mount Ararat due to the similarities in lore in relation to the Noah's Ark story. But I found out it's actually the Caucasus Mountains because the Koreans can trace their origins through the Dacians or the Dacians. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And this is further corroborated by the Altaic language theory. So yeah,
someone asks, KO asks, so let me get this straight. possibly Nagasaki, Hiroshima happened in part to cover up Asian Khazarian connection. Tartaria was erased due to historical cover-up, but black people in Britain is where you draw the line. GW.
Oh
GW
no
is a
no! So
huge
look!
like,
I'm fully aware of the Moorish connection with Britain due to the with what I so I accept it, right? But the portrayal that Netflix puts out is completely bastardizing what European history was. It completely throws off, and and like they do that as it's all MK Ultra, my guy. It's for the provocation of racial tensions between
I would love
within
it if they
racial
did it
communities.
better, because like the thing is, I'll see all these
Right.
cool
If it was more accurate and they actually if
No,
they
I don't need to be
presented
accurate. Like, I like the Black Jesus on Netflix. I think the problem is that it's like, okay, so when I watch like the internet and they'll make a meme and it'll be like Black Netflix, and it'll be like, you know, I don't know. It has to be so ridiculous. It should be
no,
so.
I just
It should be Shaft in Sweeney Todd. You know what I
look
mean?
no. I
That
just
would be
want an
cool.
accurate representation of Moors
No,
and
I want
saccharine.
Denzel. I want
God
Denzel
damn it.
Washington in, you know, The Libertine, or that'd be great, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you prefer to watch like an action movie? Like, what was that one, like Pride and Prejudice and Vampires? What's wrong with that? I don't need.
No, but fucking they made Joanne of Arc black. Like no, dude, come
Well,
on.
if
Like
she was, maybe she
there's
wasn't. Maybe she wasn't
there's
from Brest.
actual
You
black
know?
characters in European history, like we've seen with the Byzantines
But
and whatnot.
there are black people in France. If she was from the south of France for some reason, that could have happened. She could have been in southeast France, you know, but she
No,
wasn't.
but
She was from
we're
the
getting
north.
off
So,
topic here. But like, okay, but
yeah.
I wanted. Oh God, what were we talking about?
Not Netflixification. Your bar mitzvah theme. It would have been Titanic, probably, because you know.
No, I'm not. I never even considered having a bar mitzvah.
Vietnam War. The
But
Vietnam War would have been really cool because you
but
could
the
have
bar,
everyone
but the bar
dropping in
mitzvah
stuff.
tradition, the bar mitzvah tradition actually has a lot of critics with the Korean wedding. You should look
Apocalypse
into that.
Now, the Apocalypse Now bar mitzvah would have been
Oh my
mine.
God, shut up.
Think about it, because they would have.
That would be
We're
nice.
dropping in the cake. We're
Dude,
bringing in the RC
the amount of money Stanley Kubrick has spent making the authentic French cuisine. Oh, I want to taste that. Oh my God.
Yeah, Barry Lyndon with Denzel Washington. I would watch. You know, I saw Denzel Washington as Hamlet recently. That was great. You know, I don't care like that he was black. Actually, it's cool.
Thing is,
Kind of.
I don't care for like black person like or I don't care for I'm not against
Also, like
racial
it kind of
representation.
infers. This is what other thing I like about it. I don't know if I like this, but it's interesting. If you have a woke agenda to say that there were a lot of black people in England, but now but there was a point when there weren't. What you're essentially doing is you're building up lore that there's this genocide. You know what I mean? Because there has to be a point. It's kind of like in the Lord of the Rings. There's always white people, but now they have this new Lord of the Rings where in the prequels there's a lot of black people. So
Right, but you know the phrase
that infers that they murdered all the black elves
right,
by the time of
you
the
know,
Lord
but
of
you
the
know the
Rings.
phrase that the Democrats are the true racists, right? Like the
Yeah,
large
well,
by large
yeah.
the liberal movement is the Democrats and the classic people refer to classical liberalism, whatever, but like the classical Democrats, their identity that encapsulates modern politics was formed through Lyndon B. Johnson, as he's quoted for saying, "I will have those N words vote Democrat for the next 200 years."
Yeah, I don't know if I like it, but
It's
I appreciate that the irony of the woke agenda that they're building up.
but the
The
thing is, it's not.
inevitable necessity of a fictitious race war. That
Right, but
has
the thing
to
is,
happen.
this isn't coincidental or ironic. It's all by design and intentional. This is manifest destiny 2, gentrification boogaloo through yuppies. And it is one of the most effective marketing tropes I've ever seen in my life, which is what scares me, and which is why I'm against novelizing of racial identity. Which is why I want accurate representation. If you're going for representation, stop making it cringe, right? Like, I'm not against diversification of like your European history or whatever people want to call it. In terms of representation, like sure, show black characters, but in the correct context.
Yeah, but
Show
what is
the
the correct? See,
saccharine.
the problem with that is then you have diagnostic versus prognostic You can either prescriptive or descriptive. You could either say this is what we prescribe black people to be like. They ought
No,
to
no,
be
no.
like this.
Show,
Or you can
show.
say like, but black people are all different sorts
No,
of
no.
ways.
Show
Koreans
the
are all different sorts
Barbary,
of ways.
show the Barbary trade and relations with England, and show white people speaking Arabic like they did back in the ancient
Right,
days.
that would be
Why is
cool.
there so many Arabic coins all over Europe? There's no explanation for that, nor representation in modern cinema.
Those would be cool to show.
I
and then-
want white people speaking Arabic in historic films.
I want redheads doing it. Yeah, and eating curry. GW. I love calling you GW. Actually, I don't really like to do it myself because I want to call you Gumwoo.
Yeah.
But GW sounds like DW from Darkwing Duck, and I love like GW. What do you think? So I'm gonna read it like that. GW, you got mad knowledge, and I'm enjoying your presentation. However, explain the German tapestry, wild men. All I'm saying is you're on a slippery slope. No malice, no condemnation, my soul, brother.
Gotcha,
See?
gotcha. No, I'm just very passionate about these topics.
The wild men are the furry dudes, right? They're talking about the wild men.
The Germanic wild men.
Yeah,
What
I mean, here we go. It's like this. If you look at like Hearst Castle and things like that, there's always cool statues across Spain and France of dudes that are just covered in fur like Chewbacca.
Right. So what about these people? Like, what
I
is
don't
the
know.
actual-
I've seen some of them at the beach whenever, like, you've been
Right.
to Europe, like it's
the
like that.
the closest the closest other like the thing I can think of on top of my head that can possibly explain this like this phenomenon is the what's it fucking is it the USE?
The what?
Fucking where is it?
Xirtus. German tapestry, wildman. German tapestry.
Hey, remember? Hey, it's the one tribe in Asia that were green-eyed and red-haired. All they were covered in hair.
This is the particular one he's talking about. The German tapestry, wildman. There you are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I mean, they look pretty great. Some people might say that that's
Yeah,
not.
the saccharins. These are the saccharins. Fucking.
Are they trying to say it's not hair? It's actually just like sweet Tartarian outfits. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be hair, right?
Saccharins are all over Germany. This is fucking. That's what I kept talking. Yeah. I want accurate representation of Moors and the saccharins. This is what I'm talking about. This is real history.
You want super furry people.
These people
Wars.
were all over Germany, which is why they're on the German tapestry. But the other hairy dude that we were mentioning earlier, but these people are what were now referred to as quote unquote Bigfoot. Is what the contending theory is. But they have their origins in Asia as well, and they're also red-haired. But that's a different tangent. But yeah, to answer this tapestry stuff, yeah, this kingdom or this village that's defending itself from these white giants are saccharins. Which is why at one point Germany, as David Ewing brought up, was called Alemania. Germany, which is why I mentioned that the Jewish people refer to the Germanic people as Canaanites. This is in the Talmudic history, or Torah, or yeah, like.
Oh, but there's some black ones clearly, right? Here's a giant black dude, right? So.
Yeah, these people were all over Central Europe.
But they include black people, right?
Yeah, they include, but like Joe, what I'm frustrated is that we have characters that were clearly white being bastardized with a complete different narrative, when we have actual black figures in European history that could be represented or could be adapted into an Amazon film, which would be actual.
Is that the Indian Forrest Gump is freaking amazing.
I've seen this and I hated it.
Really?
I hated it.
Dude, well, but you're not, are you Sikh? I mean, realistically, maybe you needed to be from India and never seen Forrest Gump before. And then you would have seen this movie. And I mean, come on, because
it's so crazy.
This movie relates on such a real level to some kids that live in India. More like, how many kids in India actually have these leg braces and want to run fast? A lot more than in America. You know what I mean? There's a billion people
Dude,
for starters.
there's so much shit in Indian history, so much fascinating things they can
Yeah,
adapt
but it's a good story. I mean, if you
instead
want
of
to,
this
if
goofy ass
if
tika
Forrest Gump
tika
ends up
shit.
in the if Forrest Gump ends up in the Rig Vedas, I'm fine with it. You know, there's nothing wrong with this. This is actually like,
Bro,
you know
this
what?
is why
There's
racism
no.
exists, man.
Is there a dumb God story? There is
Look,
no
no, no,
like. This
look.
is
The
perfect for
whole
the Rig
no,
Veda.
no, no, no. We're missing like, the world at large due to the contemporary attitudes is completely largely missing the point as of why the Tartarian narratives are being suppressed, dissipated, and such. We have been fighting for the legitimacy of self-governance and the fact that we are a civilized people since the age of time, but which is why we have been which is why been colonized and divided, taken as war trophies and bastardized. Um, we're completely missing the point by accepting into these narratives of hey, it's just okay to do this shit because why does it matter? Art is subjective. This Frankfurt School narratives that we bought into that have encapsulated the modern era. But in reality, like Palestinians today, we should be fighting tooth and nail for the legitimacy of our history and the fact that the large injustice has been made, um, and that this agenda still persists to exist. And that's essentially the information war that we're fighting.
Did you ever watch that movie Tripoli from
Tripoli, no,
from
I haven't.
1950? Hold on. It's this movie from 1950 in Technicolor, no less, and it's about the Tripoli pirates during the Barbery Wars.
Ah, the formation of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, you might like this one a lot.
I might, yeah.
It talks a lot about like the pretentiousness of the British Navy and how that translated into
Yeah,
the American
Matthew
Navy.
Perry. I fucking hate that man so much. It's Matthew W. Perry, I think that's his name. Was Commodore Matthew Perry. He's the issue.
I
He's
was
the
gonna be like,
reason
what
why.
did Matt Perry do? Because Matt Perry, he was like, you know,
I
he
know,
died in
no.
a hot tub,
Not the
bro.
not the actor, but
Bro, Matt Perry.
Commodore Matthew Perry is the reason why World War One and Two happened. He's the reason why we're in this fucking mess. The reason why America is dying. Because we decide to fuck with China when we shouldn't have.
Dude, where's the scene? Matthew
The
Perry with the predictive programming. He's like shooting water
dying,
out
yeah,
in the
dying.
beginning of the movie. Oh, that's so messed up. And then that episode in Friends, Matthew Perry, where it's like, I don't want you're just gonna be the dead hot tub guy. I don't know. There's a whole predictive programming
Wasn't
thing
he
there. Anyway,
also the Hot Tub Time Machine?
was he really
Was he?
Perry hot tub time?
I want to say no, but I feel like he was.
No, but just yeah, that'd be too much, dude. That's just too much.
No, what was the cast then? Who am I remembering then?
I
No,
forget. But like,
forget.
look at the Barbary Coast, man.
Yeah,
Look at the
yeah.
sweet outfits. Like, look at the American military taking over secretly all of these countries. Nobody even remembers
Speaking of
all these
which, I
worse than
just got.
countries. This is like proto-terrorism. They're like, oh, these are fiefdoms of people that have sovereignty. Let's get them. You know,
Speaking of which, give me a sec. These coins.
people might have been
Fucking these.
upset at the redhead gingers, you know, in Arabic cultures, but it exists, bro. Come on, what do you want? This is pretty real. There were totally white people and black people, and like it's I think that's Malcolm X's whole point when he got down there. He's like, wow, in Mecca is everyone of every color, blonde, blue-eyed Muslims. Whoever knew?
There it is. Arabic coins in Medford, Massachusetts. It's tracing back Arabic coins in America points to the fact that there was a trade war, an ongoing trade war with the Barbary states that has eventually led up to this war and the formation of the Marine Corps, which is also largely ignored by academia. But this is all public information. But yeah, it and as people keep saying, history repeats itself. How we've constantly fucked with Tartarian people or quote unquote barbarian people through compartmentalization of the region, imperialism, and trade wars. It's an ongoing agenda and doctrine and playbook that is continuing today. Like has been the case since as long as books have been around.
These coins from the 17th century. So Barbery, when were these found? What's the deal with these coins? Wow, look at that. That's crazy.
Right. No, this is a link I was just sent to by a Muslim friend of mine. And he's also very familiar with David Ewing's work. And then yeah, we discuss how the Quran fits into all of this. But yeah, but like all this, the explanation for the Arabic coins in America was due to the Moorish connection and their settlements, especially in the South, through the Caribbeans and Florida, especially this which was deemed Spanish colonies, right? These Arabic dirhams entered the American South and made them rich. So, but in order for the DC Northern American corporate takeover to happen, they needed to capitulate the South and the South economically. In order for that to happen, the British had to cut off Arabic or Tartarian economic trade relations with the American South to eventually starve the Moorish colonies and existence in the Southern American region or the Southern United States region. So for that to happen, all this fuck shit in history leading up to what we know as the Barbery Wars, and then yeah, that is the conclusion. And all this stuff is well documented, public information. It's just hidden away in archives that nobody bothers to fucking look into because everybody's too busy obsessing about the Roman Empire.
It's crazy to think about how advanced a lot of these people were, and like how culturally like the Barbery Wars were about all over these places. And
and that's the thing. The justification for European imperialism was that these people were savages. They had no right for self-determination or governance. That was the Talmudic logic applied to these people. Because at this time, British Israelism was huge. That's another thing everyone forgets. That Judeo-centrism has existed for so long, especially within European imperialist culture. It's what drove their expansionist ideas. Their whole obsession to find the lost tribes of Israel to reform the millennial kingdom. This obsession to reform the millennial kingdom comes all the way down to World War II, the Tausendjährige Reich, the Hitler, based his whole economic plan on the 1,000-year Reich. What does that translate to? The millennial kingdom. And like if you look at all the interpersonal letters of all these like Navy admirals and like whatever in the 1700s and 1600s and in England and the correspondence of the Americas and the expeditions, if you trace all that shit and read through all that, you would realize that these people's sole motive, their exploration into the Americas, and the reason why they even got sponsored to begin with, was to find the lost tribes of Israel, which they deemed to be the Tartar people initially.
Look at them putting their stuff on their faces, man. That's ridiculous.
And then,
oh my god, it's in the movie. Like
the whole objective was to bring these people back to what they deemed to be Jerusalem and Israel to form the millennial kingdom once again, to fulfill the biblical prophecies due to British overzealousness of Christianity. That is where this all Zionism unfolds from, where the Balfour Declaration comes from, where the whole Palestinian mandate question comes from, is all of this. British Israelism is a large part of the history that everyone completely fucking negates when answering the Zionist or the Israel Palestine question. But it ties into the whole Tartarian lore and everything. Why? And also the Barbery Wars as well. It's everything is a fucking domino effect. Everyone is under the layman's people are under the impression that all these incidents in history are isolated events, when in reality everybody is just as human as you are and have every reason and has the ability of pattern recognition to be conditioned to a state of anxiety, or to have these narratives, or to go to war, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, wars are not just about money and whatever. There's so much complexity to it. To drive oneself to die for a cause, like that's huge.
Tripoli is a weird movie because it's the other title for it is The First Marines. So it's straight up telling you is exactly like you're saying, the Barbary Wars with the beginning of the American Navy, like whatever the real American Navy became. It really starts at this moment. It's crazy.
And then like I said, everything fucks up with Matthew Perry. The 8-Nation Alliance invasion at Peking, or what we now know as Beijing, which was then referred to as Tartar City.
The actual Matthew Perry, who looks like, my God, what is
this guy? So
Holy
this is what I've been saying.
Freaking cow.
This is why everybody. This is why people, especially the Black community, are against cultural appropriation. It's because for the longest time,
because this guy wears a skin suit. Oh my God, he's wearing
our people, everybody at large that were non-white during this time period of the 16 to 1800s were regarded as, or justified as, uncivilized, people with no right to self-determination or self-governance.
And you
were savages.
Matthew C. Perry, War of 1812. Matthew Perry. What about
Matthew Perry is on the Asia side, but no, this was a narrative at large, right? The reason why why people are fighting so hard for legitimacy, for the right to exist, why genocide occurs, why racism exists, is because people at large have been fighting for the legitimacy of to be recognized as people, as on an equal standing as any other people. But these narratives, these justifications of uncivility has to exist in order for imperialism to legally be an abiding thing, for her to have any standing, especially within the Masonic Court of York, and how their legal system works. As we mentioned in previous streams, rich people are not beyond the law; they're within it, but it doesn't really apply to them because they have so much money. But they still abide by a certain social contract, right? Which is the Masonic Court of York, maritime law, which is why all this stuff ties with the U.S. Navy, maritime law, but also why it ties with the British Navy as well. The American Navy is the extension of the British Navy through corporations, as well as the Dutch East India Company. But Matthew Perry connection, by large, is he's the root, he's the domino, the butterfly effect that fucked up everything, and is a root cause of World War II.
Let's get to Matthew Perry in a second because I want to focus on him, but also I just wanted to point out Scott Dubois' important point about the Barbary pirates enslaving over 1 million Europeans, which is not actually true. It's actually like 35,000 to 50,000, maybe 100,000 at most Europeans, but about 1 million white people, or maybe like 1.25 million white people, because of the white populations of Northern Africa. And so it's interesting to look at that because there were just tons of white people that lived in Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia.
The R1B haplogroup. Yeah. Or is it haplogroup? Yeah, the R1B haplogroup, the red-haired, fair-skinned, green eyes, Irish people, where they come from. All these people in the Tartaria community harp about the Irish Phoenician connection, completely dismissing the fact that the Irish people are actually Phrygian. They appear Phoenician due to their proximity within Anatolia. The Middle East back then, at large, was white, which is why we have people like Assad in Syria with blue eyes.
But yeah, it's an important point that there's a lot less evidence for the people that were there because over 1 million of them.
But another thing I want to point out,
African coast were taken away.
Another thing I want to point out is Irish people had one of the largest concentration of the R1B haplogroup. They're rated at 92%, I believe. But the thing is, you know how there was Irish slaves in America? Where did these slaves come from? The Mediterranean. How? Because these were red-haired white people that were already existed within the Barbary slave trade system that were eventually um, sold and pushed through Jewish merchants across the northern African region into the Horn of the where all the triangle trade stuff happened eventually. But yeah, the Irish another Tartaria connection. A lot of people miss is that the Irish slaves that were brought into America were also brought from the Middle East as well, together. And this is also evident through all the images that are buried within the Library of Congress. It just sift through that shit. It's mind breaking. And I got to personally see some of these photos in a lot of these museums in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans a few months back with a friend, and we just toured museums for the hell of it, and they actually showcased Irish chattel slavery. I was like, holy shit! And then a lot of them have, some of them actually have Middle Eastern. One if you see, when you see images of one that just crossed over, some of them actually within the Library of Congress, some of them have a Middle Eastern garb. Truly fascinating. And then this also can be further corroborated with the Terran mummies. Terran Basin mummies. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Basin mummies. Literally, white people within, or what we deem as aesthetically Irish. Just chilling in Xinjiang, China, that have crossed over this way. Yeah, white skin, red hair, green eyes, fucking same thing as the UAZ and the Tocharians.
Interesting.
It's insane.
Wow.
Just right there, they crossed over east, but then eventually, but like these people
Proves that
coming.
Egyptian, Tartarian, Tibetan thing. The connection to the Book of the Dead's right
Yeah,
there.
the fucking Greco Buddhism, bro. Like nobody considers that. Like what kind of connection that would require for that like, to exist. Greco Buddhism at large, and also like the Ionian connection to Yunnan and Alexander the Great, all that other shit. How
Oh.
ingratiating, huh?
Well, I was gonna say also Matthew Perry. Should do some pictures of Matthew Perry. Here's Matthew Perry liberating primitive people from collapsed Tartarian ruins. Yay! Look at that, he's liberating them.
By at large, due to the Carnegie Rothschild's curricular schools, the school curriculum that we have today, we are to believe that ancient people, not even too far back, or these savage, or these people in general, were just savages, primitive, whatever, right? We had every right to conquer them, which is corroborated by the gradualist theory of evolution. Instead of realizing that industrialism is usually explosive, happens out of nowhere, and also other civilizations tend to advance at different degrees and different rates. And also there's different definitions of what people consider advanced due to pragmatic utility. And then we've been fighting for the legitimacy to say we aren't a lesser people, as deemed by Theodore Roosevelt or Winston Churchill, that we are equally, if not more advanced, as European history.
KO says, is Wiling, Netflix is Wiling, however, is that right? Wiling? However, compare the wiki pic to the tapestry. Those saccharins in the tapestry don't look like the wiki pic. So, SO, what's SO mean again?
I forgot.
SO.
Doesn't look like the wiki pic? To me, they do. Look, they have the same head guard.
Shout out to David Ewing Jr. Yes, of course. Sorry.
Like if you look at other images of sacharins, especially the head garbs they wear, that infamous Islamic, that whatever thing this like rope thing
That
they have.
thing you do. Hold on, let me see. Ancient. Anybody?
And you compare that to the tapestry that you just pulled up. Like I honestly see the exact parallel. Like
It's hard to find a lot of pictures of them. Obviously,
no, just go to the Google page. It's right there.
this one here. Yeah, okay.
And like then like pull
The
up
beekeeper
tapestry.
suit. The
The pull
beekeeper
no,
suit.
not the beekeeper suit. Rather like the hijab roll thing. That fucking whatever. Go back. That yellow band, whatever he's wearing on his head.
Oh, this guy here. Okay.
It's something like that I've noticed within medieval Islamic clothing, especially Ottoman, Turkic.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that little band thing. If you go back to the tapestry that he had.
Because if this is silk and it gets shot at, like something gets stuck in the bouncy.
But go
silk
back to
part.
the tapestry.
Hold on, this one or a different one?
The one he's talking about, Kyo.
Is it? I don't remember. Oh, the Wildman tapestry.
Yeah.
And then German tapestry Wildman. Here's the full one.
No, go back. No. Go back to the one with where they show in the castle. Yeah. So yeah,
this is a lot going on here.
I no. But the emphasis is on the black people. Go back. Here.
The emphasis on the black people is always that way. I see it is. Okay.
Look,
oh yeah, there is a black guy.
They're wearing traditional, almost saccharine garbs. Compare the two. It's just this has color, the other one doesn't. That's just the main difference. And there's so many and saccharines. It just refers to the black people in Germany. It's a colloquial term. There's so many different regional tribes of black people, as we know, all throughout Europe, but which made up the Alemannian identity. But it does, yeah. The saccharine term doesn't belong to one specific group. So the clothing and motifs they wear are varying, much like the Tartarian motif or Tartarian people. All their clothing is all different, but we also regard them as Tartarian. But they largely follow a similar aesthetic.
Interesting. So again, though, Matthew Perry, what did he do? You were telling us about
Matthew Perry is the reason he's the guy that fucking abdicated. Well, no. He completely wiped the entire samurai class in Japan and instated a puppet regime in Japan after the whatever civil war they had, and then he enters Korea through a false flag event and corrupts the entire financial system of Korea, along with Japanese cooperation because they instilled a puppet regime. So this is why Queen Min was assassinated, because Queen Min had a Russian slush fund just in case some shit like this happened. But then like they didn't want this to but Japan and America, obviously this is against their interests, so they had her assassinated to dissolve the slush fund. But the whole point of Matthew Perry in Korea was to seize the Korean financial system because they opposed the Rothschild's bank, the Red Shields, and also they eventually, go into China with the here. Let me pull this up. The Eight Nation Alliance invasion of the King, I think. I don't know if Matthew Perry was directly involved with the Eight Nation Alliance, but I believe he was there for the invasion of Beijing. Oh yeah, 55 days at Peking. That is it. Siege in the international legations. Yeah, don't zoom on my face. Pull this two links up.
Oh,
So
sorry, I was trying to pull up the link. Is this 55 Days at Peking?
no. That's the movie. That's the movie. It's the international siege of the siege of the international legations. But the
Okay.
Asian Alliance is want to point out at the 1900s, you know, all the world wars were premeditated. This is Albert Pike's prophecy. All the world wars leads up to the Eight Nation Alliance, or like comes down to the Eight Nation Alliance and what they have proposed when they got together. All the major world powers and whatever that were involved in every world war and today were present, forming this agenda at large, which eventually ties into how this whole Tartar narrative and why the Tartar narrative has been suppressed, and this whole which this also ties into the fucking oh my god, Sonic quarterly periodicals. Masonic agenda against the Tartar people.
Right, which is interesting because it's like written into so many things more
Yeah.
than everything else about Tartaria. Is just their hatred, which is like weird because you're supposed to be helping everybody if you're a Mason, but
Right. And
except
like
for the Tartarians because they can't help themselves,
and this is out in the open, documented public information that everything we're talking about. You just have it out in the open as a periodical archive. Masonry in China, how they usurped everything. The Hongshu Quan, the fucking Taiping Rebellion, the collapse of the Qing, the all the Masonic networks in China through the Jesuits, everything, bro. It's fucking out in the open, and yet if we even mention this to the layman's people at large, we are disregarded as schizophrenic.
What? Talking about Freemasons in the 19th century? I mean, The Man Who Would Be King. Have you seen that movie yet?
I have heard about this a lot. I haven't seen it. I need to. I also need to watch. I also need to watch The Last Emperor as well.
It's on YouTube, I think. Sean Connery ends
I'm
up
just lazy.
finding he's got a Masonic talisman on his chest, and so they've seen that symbol before, like a cargo cult. And
we mentioned this in a previous episode. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's not that crazy to talk about, the cargo cult.
Cargo, yeah. The reset civilization. Yeah, the cargo cult stuff ties into the reset narrative.
Mark Mason.
And the reset narrative is the reason why the resets that occurred is the reason why we were deemed as unable for self-governance. Because of the how we've been affected, the disposition we've been have occurred through the resets. But as we know, all these resets were orchestrated largely by the Industrial Revolution, part by the mud flood, but that was the catastrophe that exacerbated. It was a catalyst to justifying all this shit.
Wow, this movie's crazy looking. I have to watch 55 Days in Peking. Looks like a fun movie.
It's insane the amount of historicity that was lost and destroyed by the arrogance of these fucking retards. Oh, I hate the. Oh my god! And anyone that justifies imperialism is like, people think like.
What about AI imperialism?
No, these armchair historians on Reddit that justify imperialism. The talk about, oh yeah, we should just glass the Middle East, turn it into one giant McDonald's parking lot. And it's like you completely disregard the fact that you are the reason for these for these issues. But I'm not trying to be like white guilt and all that. But hey, let's at least still be historically conscious of where this nation stands sociopolitically in regards to why places like China has evolved into the state that it has. We have no option but to destroy China at large for the sake of world peace because of the shit we've done to it in the past.
I think China could just be swallowed. I mean, West Taiwan can be swallowed back up into, it could all work out.
No, right now there's a whole giant agenda to partition Russia and China.
I'm good off that. I'd like Brickus. I think it's fun. I want to have more.
I'm a supporter of BRICS all the way because I want the commodity metal standard currency back. I want fiat to mean something again. I want economic prosperity and the right to housing.
We should get you on with Luke. Luke doesn't like Russia, so that'd be an interesting conversation. I want to get Gleb because Gleb's in St. Petersburg. He's Russian, and get him. So have like, a Russian, a British guy, and then an American, Korean. And that'd be.
Koreans have always had a good relation with Russia. It's
and a little bit of suspicion towards China. I've noticed. You seem to can't get over it.
Mutual suspicion against China because of a lot of their business practices, I would say.
with North Korea, though, I mean, like they just want
North Korea as well.
They're just trying to help you guys out. I mean, South Korea is just. I mean, South Korea is a state, of the United States. It's basically
essentially,
like North San Diego or something. I don't know. And it seems like a crazy idea that there would be such a dynamic between China and America in Korea because North Korea has one ally and South Korea has another ally, right? So Korea is that's divisive in the family the same way like the left and the right are divisive in America. Like North Korea, even if you're South Korean, North Korea has this air of culture to it, of Korean culture to it. Like South Koreans are thinking, yeah, it's messed up there, but they're more Korean than us.
Yeah. This feeling that the South Koreans you see this attitude present. This is more so the Zoomer generation as economic hardships are more present. And when they're realizing, oh shit, we've essentially sold our culture, identity, and people and nation to corporations, which is why I was pissy about the whole Netflix adaptations and whatnot. our identity is being sold, which is this is why there's a war for data. Why there's a war for identity? It all ties in together. This is like it's a war for legitimacy and identity. It's essentially it boils down to a spiritual warfare, in the most abstract sense.
Dude, what was that movie Seoul High? Remember like the Korean rap lip sync movie?
What?
God, what was that called? It was like a Korean.
I'm so detached from pop culture, man. Like I'm the last person to ask. I was a hipster growing up, bro.
High school rapper? Is that what it was? High school rapper, I think it was, dude. It was so cool. Basically, they took no, that's not right. That's not right.
What the fuck?
Dude, what was it? Was like a Seoul High rapper dub movie. Korean Volcano High? Oh yeah, that's what it was. Volcano High. So they took this Korean dystopia high school movie, and then they had it dubbed by Snoop Dogg and rappers. It was so cool. Kellis.
What the fuck?
This was such a good movie. You never saw that?
I don't even know about this.
Oh man,
that's insane.
Volcano High. It was so good because it was like
Snoop Dogg's
with the killer instinct.
Hot rims didn't do it.
Hey, bro, at this point, just give Koreans the N-word pass at this point, dude. Like, come on. Like, Boondocks, Volcano High School, majority of...
Lil Jon. Was in this. Lil Jon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my god,
Lil Jon was in this.
Oh, it's so good. Volcano High. So I mean, I feel like cultural appropriation is a good thing if it's done right. You know what I mean? Like this is a perfect Korean movie.
No, but this isn't appropriation. This is just transnational, I would say adaptation. But this isn't like we are, we are Koreans, right? This is we're just dubbing a movie. It's an appreciative standpoint.
Yeah. Well, it's because to Koreans, they are gangsters. So to an American, to get it across to them that they're gangsters, you need to show them something or hear the sounds of something familiar, right? I think that's kind of the deal.
Much the modern adaptation to this, I would say, is the Boondocks. The Boondocks was largely directed by a Korean man. No, this was animated by Koreans, but it is voiced by black people.
I didn't know that it was done by Koreans. That's really interesting.
The early 2000s animation industry, from Cartoon Network and whatever, was all like animated in Korea. So yeah, like Billy and Mandy, fucking Courage the Cowardly Dog, everything, like all that shit was.
Aaron Magruder's
SpongeBob.
black. He doesn't look Korean at all. But who are the Korean people? Maybe
They go Dongwoo Animation, and also look at the directors.
Wow. Okay.
Look
everything's
at the editors,
done. All the Western
directors.
Stuff is being outsourced to Korea. Okay.
No. It wasn't outsourced. It was a mutual partnership.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So, like, this is a transnational appreciation from both sides of each other's aesthetics and culture, which transcended language, culture, identity, and such, and by no means appropriation. And through this, we have the introduction of now hip hop in Korea.
Wow, that's interesting. So, like, this show merged Black and Korean culture on purpose? Through the American media system, and that's not.
I don't say there's a conspiracy behind this. I'm saying
this was not on BET.
This was just organic.
I don't know. Sounds like a conspiracy to me.
No, shut up. This is just a mutual appreciation of both cultures that coincidentally happened throughout the 90s. Especially how ingrained Dragon Ball Z is in Black culture and also Hispanic culture in America. Much like that, but that's how Boondocks emerged. But yeah, look at the directors and the editors.
I feel like if I was really Korean, I'd listen to this because it'd be chiller.
But if you want to go further, if you want to go further into this rabbit hole, I have been finding evidence of the possibility that Black people at one point either lived or originated from southern China. So
Black people originating from southern China.
This is largely there's very few and far between information on this. But it's the Austro-Melanesian rabbit hole, which is therefore which is why it hold on, I'll type this up. Yeah, Australo-Melanesian. Yeah, it is. If you go down this rabbit hole, it fucking blows your mind. When you read. I mentioned this earlier. Which is how I tied in the Jomon Ainu people originated from Taiwan, essentially. The southern Yis, right? And their motifs tied directly with Kenyans. There's sub-Saharan Africans, I've noticed, have Asiatic phenotypes, especially Capoids. They look Chinese. And not to mention there's their cultural motifs and their clothing, their basket weaving techniques, all this stuff are also Southern Yi Nuoso-syncretics, it's which made me come to the near conclusion of, hey, Black people might be the racial byproduct of Dravidians race mixing with Southern Chinese people, and it makes the most sense if you take into consideration the existence of Lemuria.
The American Association of Biological Anthropologists say that the belief in races as natural aspects of human biology and the structure of inequality racism that emerge from such beliefs are among the most damaging elements in human experience both today and in the past. So they're saying race isn't, they're not into race. They believe in the rise of modern genetics, and so they no longer believe in race. But at the same time, they're finding people that have the same sequences and look the same and have
there's literally Persian DNA in people in New Zealand and Maori tribes. This isn't a far-fetched idea. Like this can also be genetically corroborated. It's just the fact that Lemuria is currently underwater is our
Right.
only issue.
But we have interaction clearly at some point, even if it's by
Yes,
boat. People are
yes.
clearly going across. Yeah, that is interesting.
And which is like nobody fucking questions why there's Islam in Indonesia, why there's black people in Australia, why there's like any of this. Nobody really considers or looks into Polynesia as a whole, or like their genetic makeup. Why there's Papua New Guineans. Supposedly these people are so primitive they couldn't invent the wheel, but somehow they're possible for transcontinental migration. Are you kidding? But then we and like this is just another bullet point, adding to the stack of evidence, calling out the out of Africa theory being completely bullshit, the evolutionary model being completely bullshit, because we have contentions like this. And like when you present things like this to the academic circles, you just get dismissed as like this is just racism or whatever.
You don't have the continents, like you said. If things are underwater, it's harder to show the bones.
But we have things like the Yoguni complex clearly underwater.
We don't have the bones showing like the pre-African.
Right. We have all these structures underwater though.
We also have epigenetic evidence from people living in places. We can see how epigenetics affect people, and we can show that people lived in places for generations.
Exactly.
But it's taking time. Yeah.
It's taking time because we still cling on to these fucking imperialist narratives because we have to justify for not Zionism.
He hates imperialism. Well, we're nearly at the 2-hour mark. Is there anything you want to do before I'm gonna enjoy a little K-pop while you pull up your last couple links?
I mean, that's essentially it. Like I've boiled everything I've had to.
You look good. You look good.
But I want to go back to the first link, the first ever link, the dagger. The dagger, the smoking gun to all this.
Okay. Where is that dagger at? Hold on.
It's the first link in the private chat.
Yeah. Got it. I always thought Korean sounds cool. Like he sounds tough. Oh wait, this part though, right?
Look.
Superstar, dad. I love it when they use English words. That's why I did that.
Yeah, which is why I find this very impressive. This could actually pass up as real K-pop.
Oh, I'm gonna sell this for $1 on iTunes. Every Korean's gonna buy it. Every Korean's gonna buy it for their daughter. People are gonna dance to this.
But yeah, so wait for the music to end real quick.
Dude. Yeah, Peter with the jumbuya. All right, sorry.
Okay, so this dagger. So if you read back in the narrative description, what it's saying is because this thing is so fucking out of place within the whole narrative that like all Koreans are just spawns of Chinese people, and it's so out of place that they label it as just it's a Persian artifact that was like they came here to trade by the Silk Road, whatever. Silk Road wasn't really accessible by the Koreans much, so there was no really big significance in relation with Koreans of the Silk Road. But this stuff comes from the relation with Tocharians. As seen, if you go back to the previous, go exit out that image and you go scroll down, you will see the only example of this dagger appears within Tocharian people. So, but there's large evidence throughout the Shilla Kingdom, and also Pekje as well, that our cultural history and aesthetics and motifs, entirety itself, identity comes from the Tocharian people itself, which is why our hair, if you place close to the sun, has a red luster, because we have Tocharian admixture. But yeah, the thing is, they say this is is just regarded by academia at large as a Persian artifact. This is a diplomatic gift. But notice the symbolism in the artifact. Go back to the dagger. The tri yin yang in the center. You see that? That go up. That's not present in Persian Iranic cultures, or at least that is made aware in canonic historical narratives. That narrative is only present within Tibetan or the cultures that were in tangent with Mahayana Buddhism. So like Tibetan, very very niche parts of India and largely
Such a
Korea.
nerd that when I type Triskel, it just takes me to the operating system.
No, but like the link is right there. Gonkiel, right underneath the private chat. Private chat.
Oh yeah, okay. All right.
The Gonkiel. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right.
that
But
thing,
this is also in the Gaelic culture. This ties you right back to the Welsh.
Right. But this specific motif, right? But the trifecta, yeah, it's the God damn, I don't know. The Triskelion, yes.
Yeah, Triskelion.
Yeah. So yes, this because of our Tartarian Turkic union, we share a lot of symbolism. But they're just interpreted differently. Like much like the swastika, it's present upon all the Indo-European, Indo-Aryannic people. But this specific Gonkiel symbol, as present in the dagger, is only present in the East, not in Central Asia, only in the East. Some parts in India, yes, but Mahayana Buddhism. It's contended where like the Gonkiel symbolism either came from a north top down traversal or top or southern up, but I'm more than certain the impression that because the yin yang is in its tie with eastern side of things, I'm more so convinced that the Gonkiel symbolism with the dots, the 3 dots, is an eastern symbol.
Dude, I was playing this game Pentiment, and it was like all about this dude Andreas in the 1511 century in Germany, and everywhere was the swastika. It's all over the place. This the Gamadian cross held by Mary in the Roman ruins. Just
this was the symbol that tied like all the 12 tribes together. It was it was a holy symbol apparently. Its true meaning and origins I don't know because it's everywhere. It's so compartmentalized information. But
what's the deal with the Gonkiel? You were talking about the
But the Gonkiel. Yeah, the Trisk, this is the East Asian version of the Triskel, essentially.
It's in the center of the Dharma chakra.
Yeah. But like saying this motif is the smoking gun to Indo-European relations with Korea.
Dude, this kind of art style is so cool. I wish people painted more just like wild green and yellow and orange. It's insane, dude.
Like
it just makes me feel like I'm getting a boba tea and eating chicken fingers.
I've talked to so many historians who have degrees and all this shit and like what their perspective and understanding is, but they all deny a Central Indo-European connection or a genetic root to East Asia. Even though we have so much evidence. Look at that crescent moon. Look at the 3 dots. Look at the Triskel. The fucking and like the Persian color scheme, the Druze Persian color scheme, the Asiatic. Yeah, it's all there in front of us, but nobody interprets it that way because everybody's too drowned out with fluoride that they don't have pattern recognition anymore. It's so annoying.
이제 내 목적을 알았어. Exodus는 내가 원했던 전부야. 너들 알았어. Exodus는 내가 필요했던 전부야. 늘 알았어. Exodus는 나를 희망으로 가득 채운다.
This actually looks like you.
내가 신이 된 기분이야. 그노들 섬기는 힘으로 나는 최고이기 때문에
This is actually pretty hard though, I'll have to say.
Ah, didn't it?
Yeah, those the guns and all. That is pretty hard.
Dude. Dude, I love Korean hats. Korean hats are so much better than pilgrim hats because they breathe. Mexican American Mormon and beautiful face from the future. Dude, feels like a Kia commercial, doesn't it? It's good. It's good feels.
Honestly, this rap, this kind of style of music is what I expect out of like early highlight records. I want to say like 2010s.
Yeah, I put 2010 in the description. That was one
really?
of the prompts. Yeah.
Okay. Like if you listen to Keith Apes or Orca Crew highlight records, yeah, his especially Occasion, his rap sounds very much like this.
This is bass. We're gonna get a bunch of Korean rap together. We're gonna like make an album. You and me are gonna be in tuxedos in front of like all
man.
weird. We'll just go film it in a Target in the kids section, or like wearing suits, you know. And
Fuck it, I'm yeah. Let me know whenever you're in Atlanta, I guess, because I don't have the money to be in California yet.
Dude, the Atlanta Mall would be perfect to shoot a music video, and we get like golf carts and go around, get chased by security like GD and Top. That's how we do it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, I know you don't have a website yet. Is that still the deal?
Yeah, I just don't like. I just like. Thing is, I don't have any media or anything. I'm not doing. I'm just also a random fan that reached out to you.
More information from Dongwoo at CIA.gov.
Yeah, I was literally just a random guy that reached out to you saying, "Hey, how come nobody considers the Korean stuff on this stuff?" And they like, "Hey,
I do. I think about the Koreans way too much. Keeps me up at night." Yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, you should everybody jump into the target.
But this should enforce your channel's credibility. The fact that I have no narrative, I'm not selling anything. I'm just some dude trying to put out forth the truth.
Dude, get up on that Tartaria Nova Discord. Go to tartarianova.com. You can talk to Gumwoo in the chat, and he might even listen to you. He might, if you're cool, he might consider it. But yeah, so there's that. All right. Well, good, bro. Talk to you soon.
Hell
Peace.
yeah. Take care, man.